I'm desperate for you, and I'm desperate for you. You're all I desire. You're all I need. Overflow in me. You're all I desire. You're all I need. Overflow in me. Fill my weak with strength. Fill my full with more. Fill my soul with hope, and fill my faith with yours. I'm desperate for you, and I'm desperate for you. You're all I desire. You're all I need. Overflow in me. You're all I desire. You're all I need. Overflow in me. You overwhelm me with your presence. There's so much more to this life. When you are here, consume every part of me. Though I'm missing nothing, the more I seek you, I find that you are here. You're all I desire. You're all I need. Overflow in me. You're all I desire. You're all I need. Overflow in me.
Good morning and welcome to Take Your Life Back. Today is September 4th. It's about 3:30 in the morning. I just want to share with everyone something this morning. I saw a demonstration maybe about a month ago in reference to our dark side and the power of prayer. If you continuously pray over and over and over again, things will eventually become clear. Although a lot of times when we pray to God, we don't get answers right away. But if you continuously pray over and over, things become clear. So the demonstration involves this bottle, and if you see, the inside of this bottle is all dark liquid. That represents our dark side. And this cap represents our limitations. So we as a human, which is the bottle, have limitations, which is this cap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this bottle into the sink, and we're going to do a demonstration. So let me put that there. I'm going to turn the camera around so that everybody can see it. And hopefully you folks can all see it now. Okay, so you see the bottle. I'm going to turn the water on. Okay, so now everything inside is dark, which represents our body and our inside. And what I'm going to do, and this clear water represents our prayer. So you see the continuous water running. I'm going to now, as the prayer, as we're praying, I'm going to lift our limitations, which is the cap. And we're going to slowly add our prayer to this. We all go through dark times. I mean, I've had some dark years. I just didn't understand everything that was happening. I'm going to admit it that I'm not a super patient person. I tend to want answers right away and know what's happening and when what I can do to solve it. I don't like not being happy and confident about things. It's just not who I am. But when I get down, it takes a lot for me to get back up. If we pray for a sign, which is this, the water is prayer, but just give up because we feel like God's already heard our prayer and He knows what we need, but He hasn't answered. It's kind of like when we were kids in the toy store and we kept asking our mom and dad for toys, but we never got any results. Yeah, it never worked for me either, but you get what I mean. Anyway, that is exactly what's happened to me in the past years. I have prayed and prayed and prayed, but haven't really gotten any results. The answer I thought God would give me, and especially in the time of frame, I thought my problems would be fixed, which was all before 2013. Then in 2013, my cap of limitations was lifted. This is the cap, remember this now, was lifted off the bottle, which is my body. Here is where I will just show you how that worked for me. So basically we all have dark sides, which is what's in the bottle, was in the bottle. We are facing, and we take the limitations off our mind, which was the cap I lifted. Don't limit what He can do, because we have to just trust in the Lord. That sometimes even after we pray and we just give up, and it is often why we get defeated. However, even though nothing has really changed, we just keep praying. That's the prayer, the sign of the prayer, the flowing Lord. Just keep praying and never ever give up praying. And if we do that and devote ourselves completely to the Lord, He will pull us through. The dark times will go away, and we just have to be patient. I know it's hard. Being patient truly is a virtue. But by never ever giving up on prayer, it's going to show you that God will eventually answer all your prayer. And the more we pray, which is this water going into the bottle, one day everything will become clear. You see how clear this is now? That is the power of prayer. Folks, I think that demonstration says it all. If we had a bottle which represents our body, and the bottle, everything was dark on the inside, and the water coming out of the faucet represents the prayer, day after day after day, just keeps adding to the darkness which was in the bottle. Eventually all that prayer has to turn what was dark inside this bottle, which is our body, has to change and become as clear as this water in here. That, folks, is the power of prayer. Hello, folks. My name is Ralf Friedrichs. I just want to share my story with my situation back in 1981 in the United States Marine Corps. I was sitting in a chapel during boot camp, and a chaplain tapped me on the shoulder and asked me to come into his quiet room. As I was walking into his quiet room, I had no idea what he wanted from me. It was then that God was setting my life in motion. So the chaplain sat me down and he says, "Ralph, I've noticed that you like to help people, you motivate people, you're always walking around with a smile. And I wanted to know," this is the chaplain saying this to me, "I wanted to know, Ralph, would you like to volunteer and become a lay leader?" And of course, I had no idea what a lay leader was. So he explained to me what a lay leader was. It's somebody that is a liaison between the recruits and the chaplain. So when the recruits have issues, problems, or anything like that, they go to the lay leader, and they go to the chaplain as the lay leader to let the chaplain know of the situations that are happening. It was then in 1981 that God already had a plan for me, and when there from that point on was that God realized that no matter how long it would take for me to achieve what God already knew what was going to happen to me, He would let me go down into the worst extremes in life. So from 1981 as a lay leader, and I'm going to show you the medal now with a lay leader, the front and the back. This is the back of the medal, and then the front looks like this. So in 1981, at Paris Island, South Carolina, when I became a lay leader, God already had my life set in motion. But again, He wanted me to set my own course in life. So I went down the years and the course of my life, and did some of the worst things possible to my own body through alcoholism. God already said to Himself, well, I'm going to wait for Ralph to get close to hitting rock bottom. So from 1981 until 2011, which is 30 years, God came to me again and He said, Ralph, are you ready to continue helping other people. That's when I formed Mastic Beach Outreach 2011, and what that was is for older people and mentally and physically challenged people, that my wife and I would help them by giving them clothing, food, possibly, like in one case, tires for someone's car. And so God said, okay, he is getting better, but he's still not ready to do what I really wanted him to do. So in 2011, I continued my alcoholism to the point of 10 to 15 shots a day. As time went further, two years down the road, it became worse and worse with my alcoholism. In 2013, God finally put his big hand on my head and says, are you ready now? That is when I hit rock bottom. June 22nd, 2013, I reached out and I finally admit that I had an alcohol problem. It was then when God lifted me up and set my life in motion for today, September 2nd, 2014. So from 2013 until 2014, I continue educating myself and you, others, through my websites, through my videos on how to battle with addiction. And God saw this, and He said to Himself, Ralph is still continuing helping people. So in between 2013 and 2014, as time was going by, and I proved to God that I was really reforming myself, that God introduced me to Dr. Luis Gonzalez. I had been toying with the idea about becoming a substance abuse counselor until I ran into an article about recovery coaching. So I thought it was very ironic that God had planted Dr. Luis Gonzalez from Starting Point, that's StartingPointmn.com, 844-414-844, into my life. Dr. Luis Gonzalez gave me the educational programming to turn me into a recovery coach. So while I was training for Dr. Luis Gonzalez to become a recovery coach, and today, my father comes from South Carolina to visit, and we're looking at my shrine, which my wife calls a shrine, which is all my Marine Corps ribbons and medals. And my father asked me, Ralph, what is this medal for? What is this particular medal for? And I then said to myself, here's where it all came together. I finally realized what that medal stood for and how it influenced me in my life. It was back in 1981 that God knew already that I would eventually, towards the middle or 60% of my life, be out to help other people, to continuously help people, to motivate people, to coach people. So it was from 1981 to 2011 that I ran my life to the ragged ends, to the pit of the worst. And then from 2011 to 2013, even worse than that. And then June 22nd, 2013, finally helped myself up with the grace of God. And in 2014, became an addiction recovery coach. And all that epiphany came to me due to my father asking me what this stood for. This particular silver medal. When he asked me that, it all finally came together, that God had bigger and better plans for me. And this is what I'm telling you, folks. There is a plan for you. No matter what the plan might be, you don't know what it is, but there is a plan for you. It's just a matter of you figuring it out. So why don't you let me help take your life back? Thank you. God bless you, and have a sober day. Good afternoon. My name is Ralf Friedrichs, and welcome to Take Your Life Back. Folks, I realize everybody's sitting out here in the traffic and everybody's trying to get down to today's preview of 20 Ways of Finding Happiness. We'll all wait for the show to start. Just take your time, get down there safely, because today I will show you 20 ways to make you happy. I look forward to seeing everyone. As soon as you get down to the theater, grab your soda, grab your popcorn, and get ready to be happy. Thank you. Hi, I'm Ralf Friedrichs. Welcome to Grand Central Station. The train to be here any minute, so if you're ready to get your life back on track, hop aboard. Let's go to www.clearviews.info, where I'll show you how a sober today can make a better tomorrow. If you're ready to get your life back on track, Hop aboard the train coming in about 2 minutes. Thank you, and have a great day. www.clearviews.info. Good afternoon, my name is Ralf Friedrichs, and welcome to Take Your Life Back. Folks, today we're going to talk about something that's very interesting, and do you remember the slogan, "Just Say No," and what it was intended for at that particular time when Nancy Reagan came up with that with Ronald Reagan back in the early 80s was for school children. Well, folks, today we are going to talk about just say no, no matter where you are. In particular, concentration will be in your workplace. Before we go there, I just want to give a shout out, like I always do, to Dr. Luis Gonzalez over at Starting Point. Dr. Luis Gonzalez has two things going in his business. The first thing is addiction recovery coach. That would be for anyone that might have an addiction or is looking to recover from an addiction. What he will do is act as a bridge between the addiction and the recovery, and you walk across it, and he meets you in the middle and walks with you for the rest of the way. He will teach you how to live with your addiction and how to operate daily with it. You can reach him at 844-414-8444. On the other hand, he has the coaching business. He can turn you into a addiction coach if you possess professionalism, passion, and personality. It does help if you have some sort of addiction background. Let me just push this down a little. There we go. So if you have some addiction background, whether it being your own or within your own family, that would give you certainly an edge on becoming an addiction coach. Why would you want to become an addiction coach? Well, other than it might be a passion for you to become one, it could also be that you love to help people like I do. I love helping other people. It gives my self-esteem a boost daily to do these videos, besides educating myself on addiction recovery. So if you folks feel that you have the passion, the personality, and the professionalism, by all means, go ahead and do that. Now, my websites are www.clearreform.com. The CLEAR stands for Community Lessons Empower Addiction Recovery, and the reform is to reform, transform you. Like Dr. Luis Gonzalez at www.startingpointmn.com, which is startingpointmn.com. Mine and his are both equally as far as trying to help other people work with their recovery, how to live with your recovery, how to live with your addiction. The drug addiction epidemic and drug epidemic in this nation is so huge that there is so much room for addiction coaches like myself or Dr. Luis Gonzalez to be out there to support our professionalism in your time of need and your time of your addiction. So go to my website, which is www.clearreform.com. If you want information about addiction and how to live with addiction, go to www.clearviews.info. That's CLEARVIEWS.info. That website purely gives you information on how to live with your addiction and how to live with recovery. What you will see there is plenty of articles and newspaper clippings and books that are written by either doctors, psychologists, or psychiatrists. Those individuals are the clinical people that give you the information that you need. In other words, I do not dispense anything that's clinically involved. I merely post their findings, their opinions, their articles on my website for you to look at, for you to read. What you will find on my website on www.clearviews.info is about 64 of my own personal videos. My videos of my experiences in life, my videos about domestic abuse, my videos about celebrities on drugs. Matter of fact, either on Friday or Saturday, I'm going to have a video about the top wrestlers in the world, how they let their life just go, whether it was due to overdose or suicide or whatever. They have astronomical numbers in the wrestling world. If you really look at it, I mean, the list just goes on, and I was going to print up the list and actually read it to you folks, but I decided not to because it's just too long. So we're going to discuss 10 in particular wrestlers or people in the wrestling business that have passed on, whether it being due to drug addiction or overdose of some sort or other reasons. So let's dive into this. This is called Nancy Reagan and the Just Say No to Drugs campaign. Now this is pretty high today, so I'm going to read it. Nancy Reagan became the First Lady of the United States in 1981, the year I was in the Marine Corps when I had my accident, the year when God tapped me on the shoulder to become a lay leader. With the election of her husband Ronald Reagan to the presidency, during Ronald Reagan's president 8 years in office, Nancy Reagan was a key influence and advisor. She also created her own major initiative for her position as First Lady, the Just Say No anti-drug campaign, which became part of the nationwide war on drugs. Again, it was designed for the young people, but I say let's just say no to drugs and alcohol throughout every climate, throughout every geographical area on the globe. The growing drug problem in the United States was first brought to Nancy Reagan's attention by friends and given new urgency after the 1980 campaign visit to a treatment center for substance abuse. During her early months as First Lady, Reagan continued to visit drug treatment centers and expanded her knowledge of drug-related issues by meeting with American Council of Marijuana and the Board of National Federation of Parents for Drug-Free Youths. By the end of her first year as First Lady, Nancy Reagan began to speak out more publicly about drug use in America. She attended conferences around the country and spoke in front of national legislation sessions of the PTA. She was present at the first ever national conference convened by the National Federation for Drug-Free Youth. The rise of the Just Say No campaign was so huge back in from anywhere from 81 to 82 that in 1986, I believe, it became an actual official declaration. The Just Say No cause was informally christened at the Oakland's Longfellow Elementary School in 1982. Reagan was speaking before a group of children, and a young girl asked her how kids should reply when offered drugs by either adults or peer or fellow students. Reagan's response was, well, just say no. And that's what you need to do. And that's what we need to do in our workplace and wherever else that we might run into. Just say no. The catchy phrase quickly became part of the popular culture lexicon. Recognizing the success of the expression, Nancy Reagan adopted the Just Say No as an official slogan of her ongoing efforts for the anti-drug spokesperson. The phrase was also adopted by many clubs and anti-drug campaigns on school campuses. By 1988, the number of Just Say No clubs around the world and around the country numbered over 12,000. Reagan traveled the country as Just Say No continued to gain notoriety. She made stops in over 30 states and even traveled overseas to the Vatican and 8 other foreign nations. She made speeches, appeared on the radio and television public service announcements, and made an appearance as herself on Different Strokes, a popular 80s television sitcom. Just Say No eventually grew beyond Nancy Reagan's personal efforts, with celebrities like LaToya Jackson on joining the campaign and even recording Just Say No anthem in 1987. It became huge. Reagan recruited the Girl Scouts of America and the Kiwanis Club International to help her promote Just Say No, and over 2,000 billboards were created featuring Nancy Reagan image and the slogan Just Say No. The Just Say No slogan was popularized in the United Kingdom by the BBC-sponsored Drug Watch campaign. In 1985, Nancy Reagan hosted 2 First Lady conferences on drug abuse for wives of the world leaders, attended by 18, later 30 fellow First Ladies. She also became the first U.S. First Lady to address the United Nations, emphasizing the need for the U.S. to curb demand for drugs while developing nations do their part to curb production and exporting of the drugs into our nation or any other nation. Results and criticism of the Just Say No. While the data shows that recreational drug use declined during the Reagan years, The direct influence of Just Say No on those numbers have never been determined. Just Say No was one of the various educational and law enforcement initiatives that arose under the so-called War on Drugs, which was at its height during the 1980s and early 90s. A certain amount of criticism was directed at the Just Say No initiative during its prominent years. The catchy simplicity of the slogan that made it so popular was also weakness, according to some critics. Many felt Just Say No trivialized the complexities of drug use and failed to truly address the many factors such as poverty and unemployment that contributed to illicit drug use. Nancy Reagan herself proclaimed that if Just Say No helped even one child, it was worth it. And I say that about everything. If one person is helped by my videos daily, just one, out of my thousands in the audience, I am so pleased I was able to help. Folks, these videos will happen whether I help a person or not, because I'm helping myself. So that one person is always me, but I want one other person but myself to get help through my videos. National Crusade of Drug-Free America Bill. President Reagan signed a National Crusade for a Drug-Free America Bill into law in 1986. That's what I thought. Nancy Reagan saw this bill partly as a personal victory and was proud of having done her part in increased drug awareness. Among other things, the bill provided $1.7 billion in fund and reinstated a mandatory minimum penalty for drug offenses, a penalty which has been lifted under the Nixon administration. To just say no. Folks, it is so easy and it starts in your home. We're going to continue this, but I want to say this. The Just Say No slogan starts in your own home. You, as the parent or the grandparent or the legal guardian, are a role model. You're a hero to your child, to your youngster. So when your child wants something that you know is going to affect that child down the road, you need to just say no. Say no to yourself. Do not drink in front of your child, because your child will drink. Do not smoke in front of your child, because your child will smoke eventually. Do not abuse your husband or your wife or anyone else physically or verbally, or they will do the same. Do not use that nasty profanity, or they will do the same. Monkey see, monkey do attitude, folks. But just say no. Say no to yourself as the hero, as the role model, and say no to the youngsters when you feel that they're asking for something that's totally unacceptable. Create the atmosphere of your own home to have plenty of sunshine within your home and your heart, because it all starts with you. And I know, folks, if you watch me religiously, you know that I will speak about this. The book of your life starts at your birth, in my case 1961, and ends at my death, whenever that might be. It is the chapters in between there that are most important chapters. It is the chapters that start today and continue into tomorrow are even more important. Because whatever chapters from today and the past, whether good or bad, can't be changed. But my chapters from 1961 until 2013, when I finally hit rock bottom, were shaky at best. I had good intentions as a human, and I led a decent life, but I had an alcohol problem. God tapped me on my shoulder in 1981 to become a lay leader in the United States Marine Corps. What is a lay leader, you might ask? A lay leader is a liaison between the recruit and the chaplain. If there are any problems with recruits and the chaplain needs to address those problems, it goes through me as the lay leader. What is addiction? What is recovery? And what is an addiction coach? You have the addicted and you have the recovery. And the addiction coach, which is me again, takes whatever the addicted individual has and walks them towards the recovery. So back in 1981, God set a pace and a direction for me, which was making me a lay leader. But he let me write my own chapters in my book of life. And like I said, shaky at best. 2009, I had a really bad accident in Alaska. 3 years of physical therapy caused my drinking problems to become even more severe, being that I was home all day. 2011, God tapped me on my shoulder again and said, why don't you try again helping people like I asked you to do in 81, but you wrote your own chapters in your life, and I watched you go down further and further in your life. I created Mastic Beach Outreach 2011 with my wife, and what that consists of, again, is helping others, helping the mentally and physically challenged and the elders. What we laid out was a concept of providing food and providing clothing, amongst other things, for the people that just couldn't provide for themselves. God saw again, yes, Ralph is still good in heart, but he still has an alcohol problem. I'm going to let him continue writing his own chapters. 2011 down to 2013, it got worse and worse, folks. To the tune of 10 to 15 shots of vodka a day. That's how bad it became. So, folks, I tell you, when I hit rock bottom in 2013, God was more than pleased. He was so pleased that I hit rock bottom that I reached out to him and I finally said, I need your guidance and direction. From 1961 all the way to 2013, although I wrote my own chapters in my book, God had a shield around me. I could have at least had 4 to 5 deaths. When I had my accident in the Marine Corps, that would have been 1. When I had my accident in Alaska, it could have been 1. At least 2 or 3 more times due to alcoholism. Blacking out, passing out, foaming at the mouth, totally unconscious. God had a shield around me. Although I was writing my own book, my own chapters in my book of life, God still shielded me from death. Because why? Because he had a bigger plan for me. So in 2013, folks, when I hit rock bottom, I started to rewrite my book, my chapters in my book. It is then that God sent me on my way, knowing that his will was done. Along comes Dr. Luis Gonzalez, which I know for a fact that God directed him to come towards me. And Dr. Luis Gonzalez was so impressed with how I do my videos and how I carry myself with addiction recovery that him and I spoke, and we agreed that I would go through his educational program, which you can find at 844-414-844, Dr. Luis Gonzalez. I went through his program, passed my test, and here I am, a master addiction recovery coach, folks. It is God that is directing me daily to do these videos. It's simple as that. I don't do these videos other than I feel that that is my passion and that is what I need to do to keep myself sober and what I need to do to continue my what's the word? Not legacy, but my function as a human that will help others no matter what. The difference between 1961 to 2013 and from 2013 to 2014, the difference is now I am still the same Ralph, minus the addiction, or I should say minus the alcohol, because I know how to live with my addiction. That is the difference. So in 2013, I started rewriting my chapters, and each year is another chapter, and you see how it keeps going. And then one day, this is going to be all the way down, and that's the end of my life. So all my chapters were rewritten. And folks, people will remember you towards the end of your book. Most. So let today, September 10th, 2014, be the beginning of a new chapter of your life. It's that simple. Because no matter what your past was, God will forgive you. It says that if you go to God and confess your sins and give your life to Jesus, God will forgive you even if you murdered somebody, folks. So he will simply, easily forgive me for my alcoholism. Folks, you have to understand that when you have drug addictions and you're an alcoholic, it's something that you don't choose to do. It is something that just happens. The difference between then and now is that I have learned to live and fight. I have put it here to be clear there. And it is my community lessons that empower addiction recovery. You and me are a community. Where I live here in the Hamptons, that's a community. Wherever you are is a community. And the whole world is God's community. So our community lessons, my lessons with recovery and addiction and alcoholism, your lessons with your drugs or your alcohol, whatever you might do, it is community lessons that empower, that gives us strength for addiction recovery. It is all our lessons. Without my videos, my addiction recovery would be 5 times as hard, because these videos educate me daily. And I keep saying this, that you need to educate yourself constantly. And we're going to talk about that in a minute, so let's get back into this. But I felt I needed to address the book of life, your book of life, your story. We all have stories. People might wonder, why is he come on video and just admit his past and talk about how he was a drunk? Because it is my words and my openness that hopefully will help you. Because if you see that I will go out and testify to my own shortcomings, maybe you will break down and finally admit you have a problem. Let me be that guinea pig, because I certainly am not ashamed. I am ashamed that I was an alcoholic, but I know it's something that I didn't decide to do. But what I did decide to do, what you need to decide to do, is to live with it and admit that you have it. The denial game is over. Keep denying it, and one day you might not be around to even admit it. The sooner you start, the better you'll live. I promise you. Let's go back. Talking about alcohol and drugs in the workplace. Remember we talked about the just say no. So when you're in the workplace, you need to say no. Alcoholism and other drug addictions are chronic and potentially fatal diseases if not treated. We just spoke about that. I didn't choose to become an alcoholic. It is a disease that is in me. It's still in me. But read the key words. Potentially fatal diseases if not treated. Educating yourself, thinking about your addiction, and working with your addiction is a sort of treatment. Employers who notice an employee having difficulty on the job may want to assess whether alcohol or drug use is affecting the person's productivity. If this is the case, here are some steps you can take to begin discussion about alcohol and drugs in your workplace. You need to educate. I say that all the time. Educate employees about company policies regarding alcohol and drugs. Yesterday we spoke about substance abuse in the military, which was a dear subject to me, being that I am a veteran of the Marine Corps. Document. You need to keep records of employees' work performance, good or bad. God keeps records of you and me, good or bad. That way you will be able to document any change. Warn. Have an informal talk to alert the employee about his or her unsatisfactory job performance. Communicate your expectations. Discuss the consequences. Do not discuss drug and alcohol abuse in particular. Keep the conversation on the job performance issues, because you don't want to narrow down and accuse somebody of doing something. Contact a person designated by your company, whether it is a representative of your Employee Assistance Program, which is EAP or EAP, a medical professional or other, to advise you about confronting an employee who has suspected problems. They can give you advice for your initial discussion and inform the employee of available help, such as treatment centers, which we are going to talk about, such as AA, which we are going to talk about, and we are talking about my methods. Intervene. Don't delay or beat around the bush. The sooner you talk to the employee, the sooner he or she can get help. Confirm. Confirm the extent of any problem through professional assessment. If you have to bring an outside person in, and we're talking, this is now from the worker, from the, not the worker, from the employer's point of view, these ones. Follow up, stick to your guns. Once you have confronted an employee, following through and appropriate support is extremely important. Now, these steps were coming from the employer. Now, coming from co-workers, what can you do as a co-worker? Alcoholism and drug dependency are treatable chronic diseases that know no end. According to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, which is also known as the SAMHSA, 20 million Americans, or 11% of population, are affected by either or both. When a colleague show signs of abuse, of abusing drugs or alcohol, it can be difficult to know what to do or what to say, and it's a very sensitive issue. But if a co-worker's alcohol drug use affects either your work or his or her work, it is important to try to help. In fact, this may be the time your colleague needs you most. Pull the colleague aside and say something. Don't run to your boss right away. Try to work it out between your two co-workers. Fact: 70% of an estimated 14.5 million Americans use illegal drugs or that are employed. According to the NCADD, affiliates that provide Employee Assistance Program, otherwise known as EAP, services, the following job performance and workplace behaviors may be signs that indicate possible work drug problems. Inconsistencies with work quality, poor concentration or lack of focus. When you're working with machines or things as such, that could be a very dangerous situation. Lower erratic work patterns. Increased absenteeism or job performance, which is really like different. I can understand the absentee. Unexplained disappearances from the job site. Are they constantly running into the bathroom or outside for a smoke? Carelessness, mistakes, or errors in judgment. Needless risk taking. These are all liabilities. Disregard for safety for self and others on the job or on the job accidents. Extended lunch periods and early departures. Work behavior. Frequent financial problems. You got to worry about, is there things going to start missing at work? Avoidance of friends and colleagues. Blaming others for own problems and shortcomings. Complaints about problems at home. Deterioration in personal appearance or personal hygiene. Complaints, excuses, and time off for family illnesses. Marijuana is the most commonly used and abused illegal drug by employees, followed by cocaine, with prescription drug using steadily increasing as number 3. Folks, just say no. If you're an employer, make it a zero tolerance, just say no atmosphere. If you're a co-worker, do the same. But we need to just say no to wherever we are, and it starts in your home, folks. It really does. Let's talk about different methods that are out there. AA has 12 steps. And what they do is that you show up to meetings. They try to ask you to do, if you're beginning at this, the 90-90, which stands for 90 days and 90 meetings. So you might want to utilize that. You go to the classroom, or it could be a church, and you introduce yourself. Hi, my name is Ralph. I'm an alcoholic. And other people will do the same. You find out who the senior sober people are. Try to find yourself a sponsor. But be picky and choosy on who you pick. Just don't pick up whoever's the funniest or the most popular. Pick the person you feel most comfortable. And by all means, if you pick a sponsor and after a month you don't feel comfortable, you need to let that sponsor go and look again. Because if you're not comfortable, chances are you might have a relapse. Being a sponsor is pretty much there to help and guide you through addiction, almost like an addiction recovery coach. He's not there to ask you to go to diners and hang around at parties or whatever. He or she is there to guide you in the right direction. That's AA. They've been around since 1936. And millions of people have used them. I did go to AA for, 4 to 6 meetings. I felt I had to be more involved in a verbal and physical sense. I cannot just show up, sit for an hour, and then go home. I need to be involved 24 hours a day. These videos might only be an hour, but it takes me 3 hours to start, an hour to film, and 3 hours to finish by the time I splice in commercials. So picture 3, 1, 3. 7 hours out of my 24-hour day is consumed by educating myself. Although I'm sitting here in front of this camera and talking away, I am reading this material for the 3rd time, twice yesterday already. It's already been absorbed. I've memorized some of it. And I'll be viewing the video while I'm splicing it together and doing my commercials, and then my final with my wife. This far exceeds anything that AA can offer me. My methods are videos, educating from websites, from reading and from doing, but most importantly, it is from helping. I have told you this. If you go out and help people, if you're addicted or not, it will bring up your self-esteem, but yet, on the other token, to know that you have helped another person's life and made that person's day better should be such an uplifting thing for you. And I truly, truly believe that God will reward you. Do you believe in karma? Treat people bad and watch what happens to you one day. Treat people good and see what happens to you one day. God will reward you in ways that you couldn't even believe. That's the truth. I have, since 2013, when I took the shield around me off and God lifted me up from the pit of rock bottom, I have seen so many positive things happen in my life. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not the most religious person. I do believe in God. I do believe in another world. I do believe that we have to be good humans. But I will tell you, since I hit rock bottom, I have gone to my higher power, which I'm telling you to do. I have seen changes in my life, not just in my physical sense, spiritually, financially, things, a lot of changes. I might not be the super rich person, but I'm never hungry. I might not have the biggest cars and houses, but I have a roof and we have 4 wheels on the cars. That's all you really need, folks, because look at it from the other side. There are people that are out there that are living in Manhattan in paper boxes at Penn Station, subways, the streets. I opened up a store on 34th Street, Cohen's Fashion Optical. And I used to walk to 7-Eleven on my way to the liquor shop every day. And I'd see them laying on the floor there. And they are collecting money, pretending it's for food and shelter. Merely what they were doing is feeding their addiction. I remember I used to pick up my shots to go onto the train, my shots of vodka, stuff the shots into my pockets, grab a couple ice cold Cokes, and then hand these homeless people a couple of my shots. That was my day. My day would start waking up in the morning thinking about drinking, being at work and looking at my clock, my watch, couldn't wait to get out to start drinking again, to go home and pass out to start all over again. Folks, what type of life is that? What type of life? Back then, if I would have gone to the mirror or sat in front of this camera and looked at myself, what would have I seen? I would have seen a drunk that had no future. Folks, go to your mirror in your bathroom, wherever you might have one. Look in the mirror. What do you see? Do you see someone that needs to finally let the stage of denial lift and say, I do have a problem with substance abuse, whether it be drug and or alcohol? Is that what you see? Well, start today rewriting your chapters in your book of life. Today, September 10th, 2014. It's not too late. But we are not guaranteed September 11th, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. Don't let it go to that point. People will remember you, what you did last, people. That's really the bottom line. They will remember that. Don't always say, I'll do something tomorrow, because there might never be a tomorrow. Don't you understand that? For the people back in 9/11, when we had the Twin Towers go down, on 9/10, none of those people would ever think they wouldn't be there on 9/11. That could be us. Today is 9/10. Are we going to be here tomorrow? Or is there going to be another tragedy in life? And if so, you have that chance to change today. You really do. My point here is that you never know if you're going to go to sleep or wake up, if you're going to go into the car and crash, if you're going to go walk the streets and get shot at. You never know. Take advantage of what you have right now, which is your life. Do something positive. Let the sunshine into your home and into your heart, folks. It's so simple. So we talked about my methods and we talked about AA. And then for the folks that really do have a situation where they need to be supervised, They do have 30, 60, 90-day programs. Most programs do take insurance and Medicaid. If you don't have insurance for one reason or another, go to your state's website and see if they offer for financially challenged people some sort of treatment center for 10 or 20 days. If you don't see anything, text me at 631-599-0218 and let me see if I can try to help you. You can call me at 844-405-HELP. You can email me at clearreform, that's CLEARREFORM, at yahoo.com. Get in touch with me. I will try to help you. I was able to help somebody up in New Hampshire with the same situation. It is just going to the right contacts. That's all it is. So check yourself in for 30, 60, 90 days. But when you come out, don't ever put your guard down and don't think you're fixed. I'm not fixed. Any person that's recovering from alcohol and or drugs that says they're fixed are not telling you the truth. What they are is they learned how to live with it. That's all they did. And when I say that's all, that's not taking away anything, because that's a huge accomplishment. But folks, when you do the 30, 60, and 90-day programs, when you come out, you need to continue educating yourself. So whether it's my method, AA's method, or the treatment center, you can jump back and forth to whichever method, because it doesn't matter, because the end goal for this video, for my websites, for my treatment, AA or treatment center, the end goal is living with sobriety, is living with your addiction, is seeking sobriety. That's the end goal. But any one of those methods will not be completely workable unless you include your higher power. You need to get your guidance and directions from your higher power. In my case, that's my God. There's not one day where I don't think about that one video that I created. It's called Power of Prayer, the Power of Prayer. You did see it in the beginning of this video. It is so true what I demonstrated on there. When I took that bottle, which had nothing but that dark liquid in it, and that was our inside, all the darkness that we as humans have. And on the top of the bottle was a cap. That is our limitation. And then we had to force it with clear running water, and that is called prayer. If we take that bottle and put it under the running water, but the top is still on there, that running water, which is prayer, can't get to the darkness inside of us because we have a limitation there. We unscrew the cap and lift the limitation and let the clear prayer water go into the dark water, and within 3 minutes or so, you'll see the darkness disappear, slowly but surely, with continuous prayer of the clear water. And after 3.5 minutes, it becomes so clear. That, folks, is the power of prayer. It's that simple. The more you pray, the more good things will happen to you. You might not see answers right away. You might not see results right away. But God will do what He needs to do to create a better life for you in His own time. I am one of those people that wants instant gratification. I want to see results. I'm learning to be better at that. It was even worse when I was drinking. Everything was worse when I was drinking. But that was really, the control factor was more when I was drinking. I still have an issue with trying to control every aspect, but I'm learning that not everything is controllable by me. Everything is only controllable by God. As I mature in sobriety, and I mature as a person that is following the faith of God, I will learn to step back and let God more or less guide and direct. Folks, I have a sister and a brother, and pretty much they go through their whole day depending on God for every move and every decision. I want to get to that point too one day where I don't need to worry. I'm not saying they don't worry, but I'm saying that they rely on God. It's in God's will to do whatever is going to happen. I haven't come to comfortable enough to do that yet. I'm hoping to one day. But it is such a clear concept what they have. Because there are 99% of things that are unavoidable, that we can't avoid. No matter how much we want to take control of situations, we can't avoid them. But knowing that God will do what's best for you is such a comfort that's within people that I want even a taste of it. So you have all these methods that are out there, but the only way is through God. And you best believe that. For my friend up north, I hope all is well. Here we are on Tuesday. You're over 2 months. Had a couple bumps in the road, but that's okay, like I told you. And you were strong, and I congratulate you. You got right up and continue. All my other friends throughout the nation that have come and seek me for help, I'm hoping and praying daily that each and every one of you guys are okay. Especially my New Hampshire friend that I grew up with. I think it's quite different when you know a person personally somewhat and you try to help them, although this person isn't addicted themselves, but they have a family member that it is. So it kind of hits home a little bit more. It really does. But folks, those are the different ways of doing things, and those are the ways that you folks need to comply with. When I say comply, because it will be too late one day. Let today be the rest of your life, that you can write these new chapters. And I don't care what you've done in your past. God will tell you the same thing. I don't care. Because it can't change. What you do today, September 10, 2014, and to your end of the book, your end of time, will be remembered most. Start with today. Let's recap on Just Say No. The rise of Just Say No. It became so huge that in 1986, legislation was passed to make it an official campaign. That is to just say no. It all started back in 1981. Matter of fact, that's when God tapped me to be a lay leader, but that's when Just Say No started. And it's become so huge that it's mainly used it for school purposes, but I'm telling you folks, I combine Just Say No with workplaces because we need to say no wherever, including our own home. Say no to yourself with your addictions. Results and criticism of Just Say No. While data shows that recreational drug use declined during Reagan years, the direct influence of Just Say No and those numbers never were determined. Folks, if they went down, let's give credit when credit is due. It is such a catchy phrase. National Crusade for Drug-Free America Bill. President Reagan signed a National Crusade for Drug-Free America Bill into law in 1986. Among other things, the bill provided $1.7 billion in funding and reinstating mandatory minimum penalty for drug pushers. Hooray for that. 1986. Back then it wasn't even as bad as it is now. If you're an employer, you need to educate your employees. Talk about the consequences and the policies regarding drugs and alcohol use. You need to warn. Have an informal talk and alert the employee about his or her unsatisfactory job, but never blame it on drugs or alcohol. Blame it on their job performance. You need to refer. Contact the person designated in your company to be a liaison, almost like a lay leader between policy and the individual that's being questioned here. Intervene. Don't delay or beat around the bush. The sooner you talk to the employee, the sooner he or she can get help. Confirm. You need to confirm if there is any problem, that it needs to be confirmed by a professional within your company. And do not, and I repeat, do not mention drug or alcohol. Push it on the job performance. You need to follow up. Stick to your guns. Once you have confronted the employee, following through with the appropriate support is extremely important. If you are a co-worker, alcoholism and drug dependency are treatable chronic disease that know no ends. According to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service, 20 million Americans, or 11.5% of the population, are affected by it. When a colleague shows signs of abusing drugs or alcohol, it can be difficult to know or to When a colleague shows signs of abusing alcohol or drugs, it can be difficult to know what to do or what to say. I'm reading faster than I can think. But if a coworker's alcohol or drug use affects either your work or their work, it is important for you to try to help this person. In fact, this may be the time for your colleague needs you most. These are facts. 70% of estimated 14.5 million Americans who use illegal drugs are employed. According to the NCADD, affiliates that provide Employee Assistance Program, EAP, otherwise known as EAP, services, the following job performance of workplace behaviors may be signs indicate possible workplace drug problems. Signs like inconsistent work quality, signs like poor concentration, lack of focus, lowered productivity or erratic work patterns, increased absenteeism, unexplained disappearance from job site, carelessness, mistakes, errors in judgment. If you're working with machines, that could be lethal. Disregard for safety for self and others on the job or on job accident. Extended lunch periods and early departures. Are they going to the bathroom, doing a lot of smokes constantly? Workplace behavior. Frequent financial problems. Avoidance of friends and colleagues. Blaming others for their own problems and shortcomings. Personal appearance or personal hygiene or lack of. Becoming worse and worse. Complaints, excuses, time off for things like family illnesses that they can't show up because there's an issue. I one time remember I was working with a person many years ago whose grandmother died 5 or 6 times during their stay with us. This person was so addicted to drugs and or alcohol they forgot that they told us 5 times or 6 times that their grandmother had died, and that's why they had to take off. Folks, don't let it come to that point. Marijuana is the most commonly used and abused illegal drug by employees, followed by cocaine, with prescription drugs right in third. Folks, it all starts in your home. Let little Johnny see you as the parent or the grandparent that doesn't smoke, that doesn't drink, that doesn't use profanity, and that doesn't abuse the spouse. But if you want to show little Johnny what the real world's going to be like out there, and you don't want to show him what's right from wrong because the real world has a lot of wrong, go ahead and smoke so Johnny will smoke. Go ahead and drink so Johnny will drink. Go ahead and beat up on your wife or your husband so Johnny will do the same, and go ahead and use that trashy mouth of yours so Johnny will do the same. Now you prepared for Johnny to go to the real world, and he doesn't even have to worry about blending in, because he is now set. But if you want Johnny to go out there and hopefully make a difference in that world, because if you did what I'm telling you to do, and if 90% of Americans or globally parents would do, by not smoking, not drinking, not abusing, and not profanity in front of our children, if we did that in our own home and sent our children out to the real world, our society would change. Our society is the way it is because parents are not caring enough and not showing enough love at home. Dinner tables at home are not being sat together by the whole family. They've become like a snack bar for people. Come and go and just eat and run. Family days do not exist. Family nights don't exist. Folks, when you sit at the table with your youngsters, even if it's only 4 times a week, it becomes a forum for things to come out that might alert you of something going on within your youngster's life, such as addiction, such as peer pressure, bullying. That is the time where you can investigate problems and nip them in the butt before it goes to the outside, into that crazy society. You need to start being a role model at home. And if you are an abuser, that you feel the need to hit your husband or your wife, you need to seek counseling. And if you are the victim of such, you need to seek the authorities. Because what starts with a slap here and a punch there becomes a knife here and a shot there. Don't let it happen to you. And don't do these things in front of your children. And go into your medicine cabinet and remove any prescription drug that might be addictive. Don't let a legal drug dealer live in your bathroom because you're leaving drugs in there. Those prescription drugs are probably for you or your wife. not for your children. They are like cocaine and crack and marijuana in the hands of a child. You need to do something about that. Reform your own home. Set rules. We are going to sit and have 4 to 5 dinners together as a family and talk. We are going to have family days and family nights. Those are the things that need to start at home again. Growing up in the 60s and 70s, it wasn't like today. Mom and daddy have to work because the economy is terrible. Society is terrible. At least back when we were growing up, mommy was home and mommy was half the battle to help us, guide us in the right direction. We need to do something about that. It all starts at home, folks. You need to, today, September 10th, back when we had the Twin Towers, if I would have done this video on September 10th before the 9/11 tragedy, can you imagine? Well, 9/11 is coming up again, and you never, ever know. Because they didn't know. We didn't know. Tomorrow is a different day, and we don't know what it brings. God knows when the end of my time is and the end of yours, but we don't know. So treat each and every day as if it was your last day on earth. And what would you do if it was your last day on earth? You would make it the best day of your life. Not with partying and not with drugs or alcohol or lying or stealing. You would do it in a sense of love, spending time with your family. That's the way you have to treat your everyday life, like it was your last day on earth. Because one day, it just might be. Let it all start at home. Let the sun shine into your heart and into your home. Because sunshine will give you positive light with positive results. Negativity is dark and black. Take the cap off your bottle of limitations, because you have no limitations if you take that cap off. Keep praying to whatever your higher power might be, in my case, my God. And let today, September 10th, be the first day for the rest of your life with good chapters. And who cares about yesterday's chapters? Who cares? God's willing to forgive him. I certainly don't care about it. I don't care about my own either. I have learned from my own, but I don't care. I can't dwell on the past. I am not a therapist. I'm not a counselor. I am a master addiction recovery coach that we'll talk about today and tomorrow with you. I will help guide you. Put down the drawbridge. Here's your addiction. Here's the recovery. I will put the bridge down, and you and I are going to walk across together to recovery. And when you go to the fork in the road, make the right decision. You've probably seen the pictures on my website. I have a fork in the road. On one side it says recovery. The other side it says addiction. Make the right choice. If you're going to go down towards the addiction, you never know if tomorrow's even here. Take the recovery road. Be an example to your children. When they see you in recovery and they see you taking the right paths, they will do the same. I promise you that, folks. Never, ever give up on yourself or on others. As much as you don't want anyone to give up on you, don't ever give up on yourself. Always remember, a sober today guarantees a better tomorrow. That I promise you. It is so easy to live sober. When I first became sober, I was fearing the thought of not being able to drink, because it was the vodka, the 10 to 15 shots a day that kept me going. But here it is, over a year and 3 months ago, and not one drop of alcohol in me, not even cough medicine. And here I am standing today smiling and telling you you can do it. But you have to believe it here to be clear there. It's that simple. You need to be strong-minded. You need to educate yourself. You need to come up with a method, and you need to reach out to your higher power. In combination of all those things, you'll have a full balanced life. And when you have a full balanced life, your people around you, like your husband, wife, and children, will also have a full balanced life. But if you are a unbalanced person in your own home, your children see that, and your wife sees that, your husband sees that. They will see how unbalanced you are. Be a role model. Even if you're a youngster looking at my video right now, you can be a role model to your younger sister, your younger brother. You can even maybe possibly be a role model to your own father, your mother. We have no age limits on being role models. You can be as young as possible or as old as possible. As long as it's today and you become a role model, and it's today that you give up your addiction, you are 20,000 steps ahead of the last person. You make the decision on changing your life, and I guarantee you'll see changes. You don't want to change anything, I guarantee you won't see any changes. If anything, that might become worse. So reach out today and start today for the rest of your life. It's that simple. Just say no to all alcohol and drugs. Say no to profanity. Say no to smoking cigarettes. Say no to domestic abuse. Say yes to family time. Say yes to family dinners. Say yes to your higher power. Because I promise you, if you let the sunshine into your heart and your home, you'll get nothing but positive feedback. Positive. But if you want to continuously live in the darkness with your addiction, that's exactly what you're going to get, negative feedback. Sunshine equals positive results. Darkness equals negative results. Positive people in your life, positive results. Negative people in your life, negative results. That's all, folks. It's that simple. Just keep saying no to whatever and say yes to the things that really do matter. I hope today's program helped you somewhat. And I look forward to the next program. I believe we have the Restless coming up. That's another program that's going to be coming either tomorrow or the day after, and then one other program. I know Thursday is Throwback Thursday. I will be putting on mocktails. What is a mocktail? It's a cocktail without the alcohol. It's a cocktail called a mocktail. For you folks that are going for the holidays towards parties, take down some of these names. You can go online and get the recipes, but they're called mocktails. That will be on Throwback Thursday. In the meantime, folks, I hope to God that you let the sun into your heart and your home. And remember, a sober today makes for a better tomorrow. And if you believe it here, it will be clear there. Have a great day. Hopefully, I'll see each and every one of you for tomorrow's show. And God bless you, and be sober.